Sophia lived in a beautiful little town in Australia with her husband. The couple had been married for a few years, and they thought it was time they wanted to have a child. Within a few months, Sophia discovered that she was expecting a child, and she immediately called up her husband, who was at work. "Come home early tonight. I have some good news for you." When her husband got home, Sophia surprised him with the good news. Her husband was overjoyed to know he would soon be a father. He wanted to call up all his good friends and family relatives and share the happiness, but Sophia said she wanted to see how things went for a month or two, and then they could invite everyone over at a baby shower. After about 3 months, Sophia and her husband found out they were going to have a son. Her husband already started to imagine all the things he and his son would do together. They would play cricket out on the front yard. They would go fishing in the river and go hunting on the weekend. Sophia laughed at her husband. "Are you going to go hunting with my newborn?" The couple couldn't wait for the child to be born, and they had so much planned for him already. Sophia spent her days preparing for his arrival, and her husband made sure he arrived early to take care of her prenatal appointments on time. Both Sophia and her husband's relatives lived abroad. They weren't able to travel to Australia and look after Sophia during her pregnancy. Her husband tried his best and managed with his busy work schedule to take out some time for his expecting wife. He did all that was in his power to keep Sophia and their unborn child safe and healthy. The next 6 months passed by in a jiff, and soon Sophia and her husband found themselves carrying their precious son in their arms. They were delighted at his birth. They felt as if they were carrying the most valuable thing on earth right on their laps. They named him Oliver. Their son grew up very quickly. Time was flying as the couple noted down every memorable milestone. When Oliver first sat up, when Oliver ate his first bite of food, when Oliver started walking, when Oliver started jumping and running. "Doesn't Oliver have any balance? Have you seen how many times I've had to catch him, Sophia?" "Oliver, you need to do some balancing exercise." "Leg up. Come on now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Leg change. 1, 2, 3, 4. Soon Oliver was all around the house, playing and fooling around, and both Sophia and her husband were grateful to have a son like him. As the years went by, it soon came the time for Oliver to start going to school. Oliver was a rather mischievous boy, and he would always be getting into trouble. Before long, Sophia was at her wits' end because her boy was constantly getting into trouble at school or out on the field where he played ball with the other neighboring kids. One day, Sophia had taken Oliver to the playground just a block away from their house. She sat on the bench with a few other ladies and told her son, "You can go play. I'll be right here waiting for you." Oliver went off and joined the other kids, and Sophia got wrapped up in chatting with her neighbors. All of a sudden, the woman heard a cry. One of the kids had gotten injured on his head. Sophia and the woman all rushed to see what had happened. It turned out that Oliver had gotten into a fight with one of the boys. Oliver looked down at the ground in shame while the crying boy that got hurt mumbled through his tears and pointed at Oliver and then at a brick that lay on the ground nearby. The boy's mother was enraged and said a few hurtful words to Sophia. It was all quite embarrassing in front of everyone at the park, but Sophia remained quiet. She knew it was her fault after all. Later that day, she went to the hospital with a gift for the boy to make it up to him. And Oliver? Of course, he got the scolding of his lifetime and grounded for a whole week. "Mister, what did you think you were doing? Is this how we treat other people? You'll stay at home for the next week. No more games or playing at the field." A few weeks later, Sophia had invited all of her neighboring friends to a party she hosted at her house. Everyone was enjoying themselves as Sophia went into the kitchen to bring out the platters of food she had made. When she came back, she realized one of the ladies was about to leave, and the others all decided on leaving as well. When she asked why, she got to know that Oliver had said some offensive things to them. They no longer felt welcome at her house, and they would feel much better if they left right away. Sophia only managed to keep the guests for a while longer. She heard some of the women murmuring as they went out the door. "I would never raise my child like that. Did you see how Oliver was behaving with Jenny? Why doesn't Sophia teach him some manners?" When everyone had left, Sophia couldn't help but cry in her room. Oliver stood by the door and watched her as she lay on the bed and wept. When her husband came home, he saw that Sophia hadn't prepared dinner. Oliver had fallen asleep on the living room sofa without eating anything. Sophia told her husband how embarrassing it was to have to deal with Oliver's behavior. The other day, he got into a fight at the park. Today, he insulted the neighbors. Everyone was talking about what a bad child Oliver was. What must they be thinking about us? That we're awful parents? This son of yours will be a cause for shame. Sophia's husband tried to explain to her that things would be fine. She had to talk to Oliver in simpler terms to make him understand the way he behaves wasn't right. The next morning, Sophia had almost forgotten about the previous day. She hurried to wake up Oliver a little earlier than usual, so he could have a big breakfast before he left. She prepared breakfast for everyone at the table. After everyone was finished eating, Sophia's husband grabbed his briefcase and went out the door, and Sophia walked Oliver to the bus stand. When she came back home, she spent the next few hours cleaning the mess from yesterday. It was an hour before Oliver would be back home that she happened to go to the living room. To her surprise, she saw her son sitting on the couch staring out the window. She was confused. Oliver wasn't supposed to be out of school for another hour. The school bus usually dropped him off at around 3, and it was only 1:45. She assumed Oliver had done something he wasn't supposed to. Angrily, she stomped down the carpet and yelled, "Oliver, what are you doing home at this time? Aren't you still supposed to be in school?" Oliver was silent. Through the corner of his eye, he had realized his mother was standing right behind him with her hands on her waist, waiting for an answer. Nervously, he turned around and looked at his angry mother. Sophia noticed there was a bruise on his forehead. She calmed down and asked her son, "Oliver, how did you get hurt on your head?" Oliver was quiet at first, but after a moment of silence, he replied to his mother and said, "I'm sorry, Mom, Sophia quickly went on and asked him, "Have you been fighting again? Did the teacher send you back home early?" Oliver looked down on his lap and fumbled with his fingers. Once again, he repeated, I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. I know I caused you a lot of trouble, but that day, I was only trying to tell them you aren't like that." Girls, hear this. I don't know if I should be telling you this, but I think I saw Sophia chit-chatting with the guy at the shop a couple of times. I've seen her going there quite often. I think something's going on, you know what I mean. Her husband doesn't have a clue who he's living with. You're a liar. I was with my mother. Excuse me, young boy. You shouldn't eavesdrop on others. Doesn't your mother teach you anything that is good? Don't say anything about my mother that you don't know, Mrs. Johnson. How rude. I can't stay here a second longer. Are you all going to stay here to be humiliated? These people have no respect for others. Sheesh, where have I come to? Come on, girls, let's leave. I would never raise my child like that. Did you see how Oliver was behaving with Jenny? Why doesn't Sophia teach him some manners? And the day at the park? Look at Mrs. Campbell, she looks so weird. What did you say about my mother? Sophia was exasperated. She imagined having to go over to the school and fix up the mess that her son had made. Was he suspended? Had anyone gotten hurt? Once again, everyone would say so many things about her. The teachers would all be disappointed. She would have to face the same embarrassment and humiliation all over again. She shook her head and said, "Go to your room. I'll bring the first aid kit. We will talk about this when your father gets home." Sophia sighed and wondered what she could do to teach the boy how to be polite and get along with others. She watched Oliver get down from his couch and walk up the stairs, hanging his head in shame. She was getting ready to take Oliver back to school and see what was the matter when the phone started to ring. She was a bit nervous, imagining she'd pick up the phone to some angry mother who would go on screaming at her. Sophia went down the hall to answer it. The voice on the other end said, "Hello, can I talk to the mother of Oliver Campbell?" Sophia asked, "Who is speaking?" The voice replied, "This is the school principal." Sophia sighed and said, "Oh no, what did Oliver do now?" The principal took a little while to speak, but eventually he broke the silence and said, "I don't know how to explain this to you. This morning, the teacher had gone out for a while to gather some worksheets for all the students. Oliver had climbed onto one of the tables." Sophia interrupted the principal and said, "I've had it with his behavior. I assure you that when Oliver's father gets back home, Oliver will get the punishment he deserves." The principal quickly said, "No, you don't understand. Your son, The teacher couldn't catch him on time. Oliver slipped and hit his head. I'm sorry, we took him to the hospital immediately." Sophia replied, "What nonsense. I just spoke to my son. What are you talking about?" Sophia dropped the phone as she ran up the stairs, bursting out into tears and disbelief. She opened her son's bedroom and let out a breath of relief when she saw Oliver sitting by the window. She wrapped her arms around him and showered him with kisses. "My son," she said through her tears. "I'm sorry, Mom. I know I caused you a lot of trouble." "I'm sorry, Mom. I promise I'll never do it again." "Your principal called. I got so worried for you." Just then, Sophia's husband burst into the room and took hold of Sophia by the shoulder. "We have to go right now." Her husband looked devastated. "Why? What happened? Didn't the principal call you? Oliver is at the hospital. I don't know what that was about. Oliver is right here." Sophia turned around and saw she was all alone in the room. Sophia and her husband reached the hospital as quick as they could. They found Oliver laying on the hospital bed. His head was wrapped in bandages. "Doctor, how is my son?" "Oliver was brought here in a very bad condition. We weren't sure if we would be able to save him. In fact, we lost him, and we thought we lost him forever. After lots of trying and quite a while, we were able to resuscitate him. Your child is recovering now." The doctor gave way to Oliver's parents and let them enter the room. There, Oliver was just waking up. His parents rushed over to shower him with love. "Mom, Dad, I think I need to do more balancing exercise." Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.